Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Friday, October 6th. This is a podcast about knitting and occasionally spinning and baking and reading and cats and lots of things. Whatever I get up to during the week. But specifically knitting because that is what I love to do the most. Like always, all the things that I will be talking about will be linked in the show notes. That'll be on my blog, or if you're on YouTube, that'll be linked down below. There's also a Ravelry podcast group that if you'd like to go join, but I am terrible at posting in. If you'd like to go join it, you can. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and then search the Cat Knit Podcast, it will pop up. In addition to that, there's also an online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I've hand dyed. That is the catknityarns.vakecartel.com. And of course, there is all the various social medias that I have that are spread all over the internet. There's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram, so that is super cool if you like to follow me on there. Follow me on the other ones. I'm just most active on Instagram. So all that will be linked down below as well, as will the Ravelry group and the yarn store. All that good stuff. Today will be a full week. There is a lot more than I expected there to be, so that's great. That's a little bit different than past weeks, so I'm excited about that, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. There's not a whole lot to discuss beforehand, although I feel like there normally is, so it feels a little strange, but that's okay, you know. It varies from week to week. So if you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, I have coffee today in my little polar bear mug because it's October, people, and the weather should be cold, but it's Texas, so it's not. There we have that weather input. I have coffee. I have my frothy milk that I made this morning. It was wonderful and it tastes delicious, so if you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, whether it be hot or cold or whatever, or a snack, that works too. Or you're knitting or you're knitting, you can do both at the same time. And come back and join me for some crafty chat. So to begin with, I have a finished object. In fact, I have two finished objects. One is an old finished object, but I could not show it to you last week because the pattern was not out. But the pattern is out today on Friday the 6th, I almost said the 5th, the 6th of October. So when you watch this on Saturday, tomorrow, it will have already been out. So you might have seen it, but there is the, excuse me while I reach around to get it. If you are a fan of Charlotte Borie's patterns or you follow her on Instagram, you would have seen that her new shawl pattern has come out, which is what I've been test knitting. And now I get to show it to you. And this is called the Bathwick shawl, and it is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It's brioche. I've talked about it for the past couple of weeks because I've been working on it. There's the one side, and then here is the other side. And they're just so pretty. So yes, this is gorgeous. I am so excited to get to wear it this coming fall just because I love the colors. It was such a fun knit. It increased my brioching skills for sure because it was, one, it was addictive, and two, it wasn't like complicated brioche, but it was advanced enough that I didn't know how to do an increase and decrease just automatically. I had to look it up, and then I got better at it. So it definitely made my brioching skills much better, so that is a plus for this pattern. If you've never brioached before, probably not like a super beginner brioching pattern, but it's definitely, if you have done a little bit of brioche, I highly recommend it because it is very simple. It's also another one of those patterns where you weigh your yarn as you go, so you do a certain amount of repeats on one side until you get to the halfway mark on your yarn, and then you change directions and you start shaping the other side, which I think is super cool. That prevents the the knitter's dreaded problem of playing yarn chicken, which If you don't know what yarn chicken is, that is when you get to the very end of a project and you have maybe like 2 or 3 rows left, and you are not sure if you're going to have enough yarn, and you either don't have another skein or you don't want to wind up an entire new skein just for 1 row, 2 rows, the bind off, whatever. So when you weigh the yarn as you go, that prevents any kind of yarn chicken possibility. So that's very nice. The yarn I've talked about many a time, but let's just talk about it again because I love it so much. We were very graciously given yarn to knit the test knit out of, and this was from Cosmic Strings, and I have the 2 little bits here left. But I'll show it to you in the shawl because it's just so beautiful. So the purple that you see is called Misty. And then on this side, the white with all these beautiful speckles is called Marshmallow. So that's super fun. And this comes from Cosmic Strings. They're based out of Edinburgh. They are wonderful. They're super nice. They have a great Instagram feed. So I'll link all that in the show notes, so if you want to go check them out, I highly, highly recommend them. And yeah, it's just like a really squishy shawl. It's just so squishy, and I love it. I'm so happy I can show it to you guys now. I will have a project page with all the information that I just told you, but I will also have more pictures that I have taken that are nice on my camera. So if you want to see better pictures instead of me just holding it up in front of a camera, they will be up, and I will link that in the show notes, so don't worry about that. Again, this is the Bathwick shawl by Charlotte Bory. Super well written, highly recommend. I haven't knit any of her other patterns, but I would assume that the other patterns are written just as well. So I'm looking forward to making some of her other patterns in the future because they are wonderful and she is wonderful. So highly, highly recommend. So the second finished object of this episode, you might have noticed. I finished the Veronica sweater, people. I finished it and I'm wearing it and it's amazing. Is it cold enough for it? Probably not, but that's okay. It's still pretty early in the morning, so it's still relatively cool, so we're going to enjoy it while we have it. I love it. It's beautiful. This obviously gives you a very good look of what the sweater looks like. But I have tried, before I started recording, I did try standing up and seeing if you could see what it looked like. It doesn't really do anything. You can't really see anything, so I'm not gonna do that and look weird. So there's the armhole. Ta-da! There is this really nice, massive shawl collar that you knit as you go, and it's just wonderful. The seaming was great. The blocking was wonderful. For some reason, when I was blocking it, some of my measurements were a little off. I had all of them correct except for like one of them, and that one I had like 3 extra inches, which I might have been measuring wrong. I really don't know how that happened, but either way, it worked out just fine. It fits great. It fits like just how I wanted it to. I had no problem seaming it. I'm really happy with my seams. So yeah, I'm just super happy with this. Again, I know I have talked about this for, goodness knows how long, maybe 10 weeks, I don't know. I have been knitting on this for a long time. So thank you for sticking with me while I knit through this Veronica sweater. It's amazing. Now it's done. This is the Veronica sweater by Shannon Cook. I use Cascade Eco Wool in the color Ebony, which is like this beautiful, beautiful chocolate brown. So good. I love it. And yes, this is the first time I've like actually kind of snuggled up in it, and it feels just as good as I imagined it would. It's just so nice. I highly recommend this pattern as well. It's super easy. It's literally just knitting a big long strip with some shaping and some texture thrown in there, and then you block it, and then you have 2 baby seams, and that's it, and you're done. And you have a gorgeous sweater that looked like you could have bought it from Anthropologie. So who's the real winner here? Because you have the joy of making a sweater, you have the joy of getting to put it together, and in the end it was probably a little less expensive than an Anthropologie sweater, honestly, but not by much. But you still have the joy of making it, and that's really wonderful. And then when someone's like, where did you get that sweater? You could be like, I made this sweater. I made this with my own 2 hands. Look at me go. So that's also a very fun experience. Yes, that was a very random tangent, but you know what I'm talking about. So yes, hopefully I will be able to get finished object pictures soon. I don't know how soon, but hopefully soon. And yes, in which case you'll be able to see the whole thing. Hopefully I'll have a nice outfit to go with it, and it'll be on my project page on Ravelry. Until then, I don't know. I might take a picture of it somehow and put it on my Instagram. So either way, I'm sure there'll be a picture of it at some point. So don't worry about that. So while we're talking about sweaters, I have a very sad story to tell you, and this was very disappointing. It kind of shook my faith in my ability to knit sweaters a little bit. This happened after I finished this sweater, so I was like on a really like great sweater high and was like, oh my goodness, I can knit all the sweaters, I'm so good at this is amazing. And then I figured out that I had made a massive mistake on my Brecken sweater. And yes, we will tell the story of woe now. Yes, it's just a sad story. Just so much stuff. What am I trying to do here? Okay, here's the sleeve. Okay, so I was knitting on this on Monday, Tuesday, something like that, and was like really excited about it. I was only like 1.5 inches, maybe 1/2 inch away from being like done with the ribbing, so I could start on the body of the sweater, which I was really excited about. And I was looking at it and I was like, I wonder how like wide this thing, the sweater, actually is. Like, will there be a lot of like layover on the front? Will there be any layover? Will this actually fit? I don't know if this will actually fit. So I kind of like created a makeshift stitch holder. I used 2 DPNs on either side to hold the extra stitches, so I could stretch it out like without, or not stretch it out, but just lay it out flat so the stitches weren't bunched up, everything was fine. I could measure it, which I did, and the inches that I have on this was about 2 or 3 inches smaller than the smallest size, which I was making the second to smallest size, so that was probably maybe like 5 inches smaller than the size I was needing. To which I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. This is very sad. This does not bode well. Is there a way I can fix it? So I then decided to or fix it without having to rip everything out again. That was the goal. So I decided to put it on bigger needles, and as I was switching it over, I was thinking, no, this probably won't work. I am probably going to have to rip this out. I should probably read the pattern and double check that I made sure. I feel like that's redundant. Make sure that I like knew all the facts, make sure that I had all the right, like, was the yarn right, were the needles right, because, so the pattern was originally knit in loft, Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is a very, like, it's a lofty yarn, no pun intended, but it's very, like, airy, it's a fingering weight, but when you do block it, it blooms. It gets bigger, it puffs up a little bit. It's wonderful. I love that yarn so much. And so I assumed, without reading the fine details of this pattern, the written details, it was even written down. I assumed that if it was knit in a fingering yarn, therefore a fingering yarn would be okay. So that is why I went with Knit Picks palette, because it was cheap, it was great, it was good colors, it was fingering weight, it would make a nice lightweight sweater. And I was like, yay, this will be wonderful. So I knit the sleeve, this entire first sleeve, and it's great. It did end up a little tighter than I was expecting it, but I was like, that's no big deal. It fits just fine. It'll be fine. So upon reading the pattern in the little details, it specifically says if you're going to substitute the yarn, you should use a sport weight. This is not a sport weight yarn. This is a fingering weight yarn. So, like, 1, my gauge was off. 2, the yarn was off. And, like, trying to take care of all these issues that I knew were wrong, but I was in denial because I was like, I want to make this work. My needles were off too. Everything was off. I was just trying to make it work. I was just telling myself that I was doing okay. It would be fine. So, I lamented to my mom, I lamented to my husband, and we just, like, he was very nice about it, not really understanding all the problems that I was explaining to him. He was still very nice to just listen to the whole thing. And then my mom, being a knitter, she understood, and so we were able to talk out what I was going to be doing, because for me that's always nice, just to have an open discussion about what can be done to fix this problem. And so we decided that this will be going on the back burner for right now. It's in timeout. In the end, I will be frogging it. I will be frogging the sleeve as well, which is very sad, but it's just not going to be good. It won't work out, which is just so upsetting. It's just like, no, so much work. All to be frogged. So yes, it will be frogged at some point. I did then start thinking about what kind of yarn I would want to use to make another one, start another one. And in my stash, I do have 6 balls of Wool of the Andes Sport, which is the yarn that it would call for, because it is a sport weight. Granted, I will be doing a gauge swatch. I did do a gauge swatch. I just don't even know. So yes. I could do it in this. I have 6 balls currently. I think I would need 5 more, which is totally fine because this is a very nice, inexpensive yarn. And I do like this color. It would be very pretty. It's just very sad, and I am just not really feeling the sweater right now, just because it has hurt my knitting pride because I made such a dumb mistake. And yes, let's just acknowledge that knitters make mistakes like this all the time, and so it's totally okay, but it is a little embarrassing because it's like, I should have read the pattern more closely, but I didn't, and this is what I have to show for it that needs to be ripped out now. That's okay. You live and you learn. So yes, I am sad about this, but we're moving on. I've moved on to bigger and better things. I had one day where I had a little knitter's mopey day and didn't knit at all because I was sad about it, but we got over that. We're gonna move on. I have started making new sweater plans because I finished this. I don't think I currently have any sweaters on the needles that I want to finish. The sweaters that I do have that are like on needles, all of them I think need to be like frogged and repurposed, in which case I can use that yarn for some of the sweaters that I'm thinking about making. One of which is called the Ceylon, or Keelin. It's Celyn. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern by Michelle Wong, and oh my goodness, it is beautiful. It is so gorgeous. And I would be making it out of the Cascade Eco Wool, so I would love to do that. What my plan is to go through the skeins of Cascade Eco Wool that I do have, and see how many I would need, because I do have a lot of like 1-2 skeins, but I think I need 3 skeins in total. So that's exciting. There is another cardigan that my mom found that we were both very excited about. It's called Schnee, I think. I don't remember exactly, and I also don't remember who designed it, but the link will definitely be in the show notes. It's a long baggy cardigan. It looks amazing. It's got big buttons. It's a v-neck. I think it's knit in pieces, maybe. It's got a drop shoulder construction, so however that happens. It looks beautiful. It's knit up in this like gorgeous snowy white, and I think it was knit up in drops Lima, I think. It's one of the drops yarns, so it's very nice. It's about 65% wool, and some alpaca. Most of the rest of it alpaca, maybe something else. It's very inexpensive as well. The colors are great. So I think we might be doing that as another knit along, because that would be super fun. Since we finished the Veronica cardigan, and we have the hat, but the hat won't take very long. So that's a possibility. I just really want to cast on a new sweater, because I need to like get that bad taste of failing sweater making out of my mouth. That's just a very sad, like, how could I do that? It's such a big bummer. So hopefully there will be a new sweater in my future. I don't know which one, but that'll hopefully be figured out sometime soon, because I'm excited to make more sweaters. Because we clearly need them in Texas weather, but they're just so much fun to make that I can't not make a sweater. So, I love sweaters, what can I say? So, now we've talked about the sad knitting event that has happened. Let's talk about happy knitting now, because that is what knitting should be. Knitting shouldn't be sad, but sometimes it is sad, and we just have to move on. But we can have a little time to be sad about it, so that's okay. I have made a lot of progress on my Hohi Locatelli Mystery Knit Along. I've only made progress on one side, so I'm just going to show you the one side. But there is another side that looks identical to this. I finished Clue 3 on side number 1, so I need to start it on the side number 2, and everything is stuck on the needles, and excuse me while I try and fix this. Why is the problem? I finally did the twisted rib section, which, not gonna lie, was not entirely my favorite, but that's okay, just because, does anybody like purling to the back loop? Because I don't. Knitting to the back loop is totally fine, but purling to the back loop is a pain in the butt, but that's okay. It looks great. The end result is wonderful. So this is what this looks like now. It's beautiful, and it's twisted, and it's great. And yes, it's just very wonderful. So I finished Clue 3. I'm ready to go on to Clue 4. On this side, the other side is missing, like, from the red section upwards, or maybe even the pink section upwards. So I need to do that on the other side, and then I can move forward to Clue 4. But I'm just excited to be making progress. I know there's a lacy section coming up at some point, which is exciting. But yes, this is by Hohi Locatelli, whom I know a lot of people love and admire, and she is just so wonderful. I love all of her patterns. To go over yarns, this light color that I've just finished knitting with is Manos del Uruguay in the Rosewater colorway. Here we have Madeline Tosh BFL light. Excuse me, I had to check the textures because that's the only way I can tell which one is which. In the toner cartridge colorway. Here we have Madeline Tosh Mo light with mohair in the flannel blanket colorway. Here we have Manos del Uruguay in the Havisham colorway. This is on the same base as this white stuff up here. It's the Pheno base. And then here we have Madeline Tosh Mo light. Excuse me, we're going over colorways. Be quiet. Here we have Madeline Tosh Mo light in the kitten colorway. So yes, I'm very excited about this. I'm looking forward to getting the second half done of Clue 3 so I can move forward into Clue 4 and then into Clue 5 and then just getting it done because yay for getting things done. It's been on the needles for too long, it needs to move on so I can wear it. Not because I need it, because it's cold here, because it's not, but it would be fun to wear. It'd be fun to wrap up in. So I'm excited about that. That has made some progress. And yes, good stuff. So lastly, and by no means leastly, because that's definitely a saying, I know I've said that before, but that's definitely not how that's said, but that's okay. You understand what I'm trying to say. I have not shown this in a long time, and I think this has been on the needles about a year, so no shame. Things happen, other knitting things show up, and they just need to be knit. This is my Clapote, or my Clapote, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I picked this up yesterday on a whim, and basically I knit more than half of it. So I got a lot done. I'm very happy about it. It's kind of hard to show you. I keep like holding it out this way thinking that you can see it, but since I sit on the diagonal, it's hard to see. So I will do a better job at that. I started seriously like right around here yesterday and knit from there all the way up here. So I got a lot done. Unfortunately, because the yarn that I'm using, Noro, is Noro, I did come across a couple knots, but that's okay. It happens. You move on. Knots happen, they move on. And I am actually like a couple rows into the decrease rows. So there's a good chance that I could finish this today, tomorrow, definitely in time for the podcast next week. I say that now, it probably won't get done. Because that just happens. But I would love to get it done for next week's podcast. That would be great. So yes, this is Clapote by, I don't remember who designed it. Is her name Anne Gilbert? I feel like that's her name. If it's not, I really do apologize, because this is like a staple pattern that I remember when it came out and it took the knitting world by storm. This is the third one of these that I've made, and it's such a wonderful knit. I forgot how amazing it was. Once I got into the groove yesterday and like just went to town on it, I'm got the pattern memorized. I don't really need the pattern now, except now I'm doing decrease rows, so it's changed. But it's also a free pattern. It's on Knitty. It's great. It's well written. It shows off striped yarns like this so well. I'm sure it would look amazing in hand spun. Now I want to make one in hand spun now that I say that. I hadn't thought of that before, but Next one's gonna be in hand spun. What do you bet? You get to drop stitches. Dropping stitches is so satisfying because it's like it's something you're not supposed to do in knitting unless you're specifically told to. And so when you get to do it, it's just like, this feels so good. I am unraveling stitches. So it's literally, you can see here's the drop stitch, and I get to this is hard to do this on camera. I get to unravel it so it creates these lines here. And the way it's knit, because you have a twisted stitch on either side, it keeps the rows straight. It looks nice. There's a piece of cat hair floating around the room. Why is that happening? I don't know. Hello, chicken. Hello. Hi. Have you come to join the podcast? Is there a lot of yarn on the floor? Hi. Hello. Hi. Let's see if we can get you. Hello. Hello. He's not very happy about this, but we're gonna make him do this because he needs to be a little cooperative. Not everything can go his way all the time. Isn't that right, chicken? Hello. You want to go down now? You want to go? Okay. Bye-bye. So yes, I don't remember where we are because we got distracted by the cat. It's a great knit. I highly recommend it. I think if I remember correctly, it's one of those patterns that you can make it with different kinds of weights of yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn. This is Noro. I had 3 skeins of the Curiopatora. I love Noro. Noro has always been one of my favorite yarns. This is what the ball band looks like. I got this yarn last year around this time when my parents and I took our little trek across the north, which wasn't really the north, but we went up to Kansas, so that's much more north than Texas, so the north, which was a lot of fun. We stopped at many a yarn store along the way. I don't remember where I got this exactly. I think it might have been in, I don't remember. I think it was in Kansas. I don't remember for certain. I do apologize. But I love Noro. It's great. Here is the, since my pronunciation is not great and I don't know how exactly that's pronounced, that's what that looks like. This is color 1004, lot A. No, I think I got this in Tulsa. No, Oklahoma City. Yes. I don't remember. I've been there several times. I can't remember what the shop name is, but I'll link it in the show notes. It's the one in Oklahoma City. It's great. They had a very large selection of this base. I'd never seen this base before. Granted, I'm not around Noro all the time, so it's not like I am the expert on Noro. But I do love it. So I got 3 of these skeins. This is where I am on this one. This is how big they normally are. Yay, yay. It is 100% wool. Granted, I feel like with all Noros, pretty much, unless they have like silky, except for the Silk Gardens maybe. The Curion and this one, however you pronounce it, and some of the other ones, they are a little bit scratchy to begin with, but once you block them and you wear them for a while, they start to like slightly felt, so they get a little bit softer, and I love them. I've made many a thing out of Noro. I will continue to make many things out of Noro. I would definitely make another one of these out of Noro. It's just such fun yarn, fun pattern. You memorize the pattern super easily. You get to drop stitches. Who could say no to that? I highly recommend this pattern, and it's free. Another big plus. Who doesn't love a free pattern? So, but yes, I remember when this pattern came out in maybe like 2007, maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. A long time ago. I remember when it came out and literally everyone was making them. Everyone had one. Everyone was doing them in fun colors. My first one was made out of Malabrigo, I think, and it was the softest thing ever. It was amazing. And gorgeous as well. And yes, I remember that one very well. I think I still have it, actually. It might be somewhere hidden in my knitwear collection. But yes. Clapote or Clapote. I'll take both pronunciations. I've said it both ways, and every time, or not every time, but several times when I've said it one way, I was told it was the other, so I don't know which way it's pronounced, but I say it both ways because I think both are. I think Clapote is funny, but I'm sure it's Clapote. I have no idea. Who knows? How do you say it? It's Clapotis. Clapotis. There's also that option. I don't know. It's fun. Drop stitches. There's that side. There's this side. And I go through phases of like either really, really loving all these colors together, and then I go through phases of not liking this orange and green together. I don't really know. Right now, I'm really loving it, but I've definitely gone through phases of not liking it. So I think I just need to like finish it and then see what it looks like on. So I think they're great fall colors, though. It's not that they're bad colors at all. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of camo colors, and this reminds me of camo colors, kind of. So that's literally the only reason why I'm not a fan of it sometimes. Except, like, not now, because I like them, but I don't know. And then they're not. So you have more orange in some places, you have less orange in others. So I don't know. It's also very long. So that's exciting, and it'll block out even more, and it'll just be wonderful. I'm so excited to finish it. So yeah, I'll probably finish that either today or tomorrow. That would be really wonderful. Clapotis by Ann Gilbert, I think. If I'm not correct, I do apologize. It'll be linked in the show notes. Noro yarn. Would I make another one? For sure. Would I make another one out of Noro? For sure. It's just so good. I love it. I love it so much. So, yes. Highly recommend. So, knitting wise, that's it. There was a lot of knitting this week. There was a lot of progress. There was a lot of knitting sorrows as well. But that did not cause me to lose my knitting mojo entirely. It did for a day, but that's okay. It came back. I got over it, and I kept on knitting, so that's good. There's nothing really else that was like super, super interesting. There is one thing, though. I have found a new food recipe blog that I'm very excited to try more of her recipes. It is called One Sweet Appetite. It'll be linked in the show notes. I have not tried anything of hers yet, but all of her pictures look amazing, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be amazing looking at the ingredient list and how you assemble things. Her brownies look incredible. She also has several recipes for granola, which I've never actually made granola before, and I think it'd be really fun to try. I think in her like about or frequently asked questions page, her banana bread granola was either her favorite recipe or one of her most popular recipes, which is either way a good sign, so I kind of want to try that. But she also has a pumpkin, it's either pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie granola, which is like, it's October. This is the perfect time to try either pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie granola. What? It just sounds really good. It sounds very tasty. Granola obviously can be put on anything. Good snacks, yogurt, milk, ice cream, fruit, I don't know. Lots of different things. So yes, I look forward to trying that. I don't have all the ingredients, otherwise I probably would have made some already. But yes, have you made granola before, and what is your favorite granola recipe? Do you have one that you go to all the time? Because I don't, because I've never done it before. So tell me your secrets about granola. So yeah, it's just something I've never done before that I really want to try. Her pictures just look so beautiful and they were really inspiring, and I wanted to try making granola. So why not? So that sounds like fun. I'll keep you updated about that. There will probably be pictures on Instagram at some point if I do make that. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I feel like there definitely was something, but I can't remember what it was. It was something that I thought about to talk about this morning, but I completely forget. Oh well. Such a bummer. See, this is what happens when you don't write out show notes beforehand, then you forget what you're going to talk about, and then you can't check, and it's just like, you should have written it down, but you didn't, so you have to live with your mistakes. Oh well. I really can't remember what it was. Oh well. That's fine. If not, I might include it in the show notes, so who knows. So, with that, let us review the normal things that we go over at the beginning and the end. All the things that I've talked about, the random things, the relevant things about knitting, non-relevant things as well, will be linked in the show notes, so don't worry about that. If they'll be on my blog. If you're not on my blog, I'm assuming you're on YouTube or someplace, you can go down below, and the link to my blog will be in the description box. All my various social medias can be found down there as well. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm super active on Instagram and also kind of Twitter. There is a podcast group on Ravelry if you'd like to go join. If you go to Ravelry, click on the groups tab and search the Cat Knit Podcast, it will pop up. There's also an online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I have hand dyed, and that is the catknityarnstuffbakecartel.com. And yes, that is the regular spiel that we go over before and after. So that is done. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about. Oh, good for me, I remembered. Christmas presents. I have a long list of things to make for people this year, and so I really, really need to get started on that, but I haven't yet. Also because I need to make a trip to Michael's to get some stuff. Not all of it will be shown on the podcast because I don't want people to see what they're getting for Christmas, because it's Christmas and that would take the surprise out of it. So, not everything will be shown, but do be aware that I will have a lot of Christmas knitting, so if my normal knitting progress goes down, that will be why. But I will be able to show something, so that's exciting. Be looking for that. And yeah, so that's exciting, and that was the last thing that I wanted to talk about that I forgot about, so yeah. So I guess that's it for this week. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about knitting and my knitting mistakes that I've made this past week. So I hope you have learned a lesson from my mistakes. Of course, I hope you've had a wonderful week and you continue to have a wonderful weekend. If you have any crafty plans, I hope they are successful. I have crafty plans for this weekend, and hopefully it involves finishing my clapote or clapotis. That would be amazing. So yeah, just finishing my Veronica and the Bathwick shawl, and making progress on my Mystery Knit Along really just kind of overshadowed the sadness of the sweater, the Brecken sweater. And so it made me want to finish more things, so that's why I pulled out my clapotis or clapoti. Whichever one it is. And so maybe after I finish that, I might pull something else that's old out, like my Find Your Fate shawl. I haven't finished that. That needs to be finished. So it'll be exciting. So, fun stuff is ahead. And then there's sweater possibilities. Oh, I love sweater possibilities. I just want to make all the sweaters. But it's not cold enough here. That's the only problem. Oh well. That's okay. It'll be fine. We'll still make sweaters anyway. So yes, thank you so much for coming back if you are returning. Thank you for checking me out if you are new. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me on all the various platforms that I have. Go for it. And yes, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye! And this is perfect because there's literally 8 minutes left in this battery, so yes. Go.